Hello, here I am going to show you the specimen of parotid gland and important structures related to the parotid gland. You can see here the right side of the head neck face along with right parotid gland. So this is a right parotid gland with its duct. So this is a parotid duct. Also we can see here the submandibular gland. This is facial artery, facial vein behind the artery, ramus of mandible with masseter inserted on its outer surface. Now coming to the parotid gland. Parotid gland is largest of the three paired salivary glands. Weight of each gland is around 25 grams. Parotid is serous type of salivary gland and it is situated in fascialine space called as parotid bed or parotid mold. The parotid mold is bounded in front by posterior border of ramus of mandible with masseter inserted on its outer surface and medial pterygoid inserted on its inner surface. Then posteriorly it is bounded by mastoid process and sternocleidomastoid muscle. Above it is bounded by external acoustic meatus and posterior part of temporomandibular joint. Below by posterior belly of digastric muscle and stylohyoid muscle, and medially styloid process and structures attached to it. I will show you the styloid process and structures attached to it later. Now coming to the coverings of the parotid gland. Parotid gland is covered by inner true capsule which is derived from condensation of fibrous stroma of the gland and outer false capsule which is also called as parotid sheath. The parotid sheath is derived from splitting of investing layer of deep cervical fascia and the investing layer between angle of mandible and mastoid process. It splits into superficial lamella and deep lamella. Superficial lamella is thick and adherent to the gland, and so here you can see this is a superficial lamella. It is attached to the lower border of zygomatic arch. Also it blends with epimysium of masseter muscle where it is thickened to form parotico-masseteric fascia. The deep lamella is thin and it is attached to the styloid process and tympanic plate. Between styloid process and angle of mandible, it is thickened to form stylomandibular ligament which separates parotid gland from submandibular gland. Now coming to the clinical importance. The superficial lamella of parotid sheath is thick and adherent to the gland, and due to the unyielding nature of this superficial lamella of parotid sheath, parotid swellings are very painful. Then presenting parts. Each gland is inverted pyramidal in shape. So it has apex, base, 3 surfaces and 3 borders. Now I will show you the parts. This is apex. Apex is directed below. It overlaps the posterior belly of digastric and it enters into the upper part of the carotid triangle. The structures emerging through apex are cervical branch of facial nerve, anterior division of retromandibular vein and external jugular vein formation. So I will show you these structures. This is cervical branch of facial nerve. Then here you can see cervical branch, I will reflect here. You can see the retromandibular vein with its anterior division, and this is a posterior division. Now anterior division of retromandibular vein emerges through apex, it passes forward and it unites with facial vein to form common facial vein. So this is a common facial vein. The posterior division of retromandibular vein, it joins with posterior auricular vein. Here it is partly cut to form external jugular vein. So formation of external jugular vein occurs near the apex and then it emerges through the apex. Sometimes the posterior auricular vein may join with posterior division outside the parotid gland. So in that case, posterior division of retromandibular vein will come out through the apex. Now coming to the base. So this is a base of the parotid gland which is directed upwards. It is concave. It is related to external acoustic meatus and posterior part of temporomandibular joint. The structures emerging through base are from before backwards. This is temporal branch of facial nerve. Then superficial temporal vessels. Here these are the superficial temporal vessels. This is artery and here you can see the vein. And behind that auriculotemporal nerve. So it is cut in this specimen. Now coming to the surfaces. This surface is the superficial surface. It is largest. It is also called as lateral surface. Then this surface, which is grooved for posterior border of ramus of mandible, this surface is the anteromedial surface, which is grooved for posterior border of ramus of mandible. This is the anteromedial surface. And here this surface is the posteromedial surface. Now coming to the borders. This is anterior border which overlaps the masseter muscle, and anterior border separates superficial surface from anteromedial surface. Then posterior border. Posterior border, it rests on sternocleidomastoid muscle and it separates superficial surface from posteromedial surface. And the third border is medial border. Medial border, it is also called as pharyngeal border because it is related to the wall of pharynx and it separates anteromedial surface from posteromedial surface. I cannot show you here because we have not removed the specimen of parotid gland from head neck face. Now coming to the structures emerging from anterior border. So here you can see zygomatic branch of facial nerve. Below that you can see upper buccal branch of facial nerve which lies above the parotid duct. This is a duct. So upper buccal is above the duct. Then parotid duct. Then this is lower buccal branch of facial nerve which lies below the duct, and this is marginal mandibular branch of the facial nerve. So these structures emerge from anterior border. Apart from that, also there are transverse facial vessels which are not found in this specimen, and sometimes accessory parotid gland with its duct may be present here. The structures present deep to the posterior border. These are posterior auricular branch of facial nerve and posterior auricular vessels. They pass upwards and backwards deep to the posterior border of the parotid gland. And medial border is the pharyngeal border. Now coming to the relations of surfaces. First, the superficial surface. It is also called as lateral surface. It is largest. So this surface is covered by skin, superficial fascia containing posterior fibers of platysma, the branches of great auricular nerve which supply skin over the angle of mandible and parotid region, then superficial group of lymph nodes, then deep to that there will be superficial lamella of the parotid sheath. So these are the relations of superficial surface. Then anteromedial surface. Anteromedial surface is grooved for posterior border of ramus of mandible. So this is the anteromedial surface. It is related to posterior border of ramus of mandible, then capsule of temporomandibular joint, masseter inserted on the outer surface of ramus, and medial pterygoid inserted on inner surface of ramus. So these are the relations of anteromedial surface. Now coming to the posteromedial surface. Now before we discuss relations, I want to show you a few structures. This is common carotid artery. This is external carotid artery. This is internal carotid artery. This is internal jugular vein. This is a lower part of parotid gland, and this is a posteromedial surface of the parotid gland. Now relations. The posteromedial surface is related to the mastoid process with two muscles attached to it, sternocleidomastoid muscle and posterior belly of digastric muscle. It is also related to the styloid process and structures attached to the styloid process and structures deep to the styloid process. So I will show you the styloid process first. This is external carotid artery. This is external carotid artery. I will reflect the external carotid. This artery, it enters the posteromedial surface of the parotid gland and it lies superficial to the styloid process. So I will reflect the artery to this side so that we can see the styloid process nicely. This is a styloid process and the tip of styloid process giving attachment to the stylohyoid ligament. So this is a stylohyoid ligament. The styloid process provides attachment to three muscles from anterior surface. The muscle which arises is the styloglossus muscle. So this muscle is the styloglossus muscle. Then medial surface of styloid process provides origin to stylopharyngeus muscle. This is a stylopharyngeus. And the stylopharyngeus is accompanied by glossopharyngeal nerve, that is ninth cranial nerve. This nerve supplies the stylopharyngeus muscle. And posterior surface of styloid process provides origin to this stylohyoid muscle, which accompanies the upper border of posterior belly of digastric muscle. Now, posteromedial surface is also related to structures deep to the styloid process. So these structures are, now I will reflect the posterior belly and stylohyoid on this side. So deep to the styloid process, anteriorly there is internal carotid artery, posteriorly there is internal jugular vein lies, and between this last four cranial nerves. So ninth nerve, which is glossopharyngeal nerve, you can see this nerve is with stylopharyngeus muscle. Then 10th nerve is vagus. This is a vagus that lies between internal carotid artery and internal jugular vein. Then this is 11th nerve, that is spinal part of accessory nerve. It runs backwards over the internal jugular vein and enters the posterior triangle of neck. And this is 12th cranial nerve, that is hypoglossal nerve. It runs on internal carotid artery, external carotid artery, and then lingual artery, and it runs over the hyoglossus, and finally it supplies the muscles of tongue. So this is hypoglossal nerve. So these were the relations of posteromedial surface. Now coming to the parotid duct. So this is a parotid duct. It is also called as Stenson's duct. The length of parotid duct is around 5 centimeters. Parotid duct arises from anterior border of parotid gland. It runs forwards on the masseter muscle between upper buccal and lower buccal branch of facial nerve. Then at anterior border of masseter muscle, it turns medially and it pierces buccal pad of fat, buccopharyngeal fascia and buccinator muscle. Finally, the duct passes obliquely forwards between buccinator muscle and mucous membrane of cheek and opens in the vestibule of mouth opposite the crown of upper second molar tooth. The oblique course of the submucosal part of the duct acts as a wall and it prevents inflation of duct during violent blowing.